But now, our regular Wednesday morning companion, Conservative commentator Benedict Spence, has replaced him in the hot seat. Good morning to you.
Good morning. The man who many of your listeners would rather was running for leadership.
Tell you what.
According to what they often say on Twitter.
Yeah, people say
we
that
can't
on
listen
Twitter.
to them. There's only 7 of them.
I'm a Zio-hag, apparently, on Twitter.
You take that as a compliment.
I do take that. And lots of other words that I'm not allowed to say on there. Yeah, what did you... I mean, yeah, Robert Jenrick, I mean, just his
Look,
thoughts...
broadly, I like a lot of what Robert Jenrick says. I simply don't, at this moment in time, trust that he believes in it, and I don't think any Conservative voter should give any Tory MP, not the time of day, but they shouldn't give them the benefit of the doubt. And what I would say is that Kemi Badenoch does not quite align so much with my worldview, but I do at least think that she believes a lot more.
And she has a track record. Yeah, I mean, that's a point I put to him. Let's talk about Chris Kaba case and the Sergeant Martyn Blake. It is extraordinary that a firearms officer, and this has happened for previous officers as well, and we're going to actually talk to one of those, Tony Long, who was also cleared of killing a man he shot dead as well. Some years ago, and he faced 10 years. So you have the criminal trial. There's never been a British police officer who, in the course of their work, has been convicted of murder or manslaughter of a suspect they've shot dead. Then with the inquest, there will be possibly a gross misconduct charge from the IOPC, the Independent Office for Police Conduct. There will possibly be civil. I mean, there's going to be some sort of civil case against him, because I guess all of those, other than obviously since the jury trial in the criminal courts, all of those will have a lower threshold for finding wrongdoing on his part. Should he face any of those things? Because we see this again and again. We've seen this with soldiers as well in Northern Ireland and Afghanistan, Iraq, where it's...
They're hounded.
Yeah, they're hounded. It goes on for years and years and years. It affects them, affects their families. They can't work. This man has now gone into hiding because there's a bounty on his head from the scum South London gangs who want him dead.
It is disgraceful that he was named for a start, because actually they would have known... in the aftermath of the Batley teacher who had to go into hiding, and you can't name for that reason. What on earth are we doing actually putting people in positions like this, especially actually members of law enforcement, actually putting them in a position where a South London gang, and everybody knows that they would, and they absolutely would.
It's what they do.
It is, and it is why they, members of the gangs are responded to with armed response units, because actually these people are, there's no other word for it, they are scum. They are going around with impunity. There is, of course, the whole thing about Chris Kaba being suspected of being the individual. In fact, it's fairly well known that he was the individual behind a shooting a few days before he himself was shot.
Video of
I'm sorry, it's the fact that he was named, that this police officer was named, is a disgrace. The way that this entire thing has been conducted has been a disgrace. Even in the aftermath now, you have grievance organisations and individuals out with the begging bowls saying, this is awful, people saying the community is traumatised. I saw his cousin yesterday, in the aftermath of the verdict, the day before yesterday, said the police bring nothing but pain to our communities, and our communities will need to look for alternative ways of protecting ourselves. Now, who else said that? Oh, that's right, it's the justification for the mafia and the Taliban and organisations like that. It is organised criminality.
But also people holding signs saying no justice, no peace. Literally just gone through a trial with a jury. Justice was delivered. No justice, no peace is a threat of violence.
And these people should be arrested.
And if white people considered to be on the right walked around with no justice, no peace signs, they'd be arrested, they'd be charged, and they'd be behind bars now.
Can you imagine
the reaction? Because the rules are different.
If they were walking around doing the same thing, if that was the reaction, there would be outrage, there would be fury, rightly, because you're not supposed to try to set up, competing systems of power, and that's what this is. It's about power, it's about money, it's about influence. That is what a lot of this is, and that is what gang culture is, ultimately. It is about who runs parts of entire cities. And I'm sorry, but the members of the public need to, be given this choice. And we all know what they'd say. Who would you rather it was running South London, gangs or the police? Everybody would say the police.
But also, by the way, when you look at, particularly, I would say it's not black communities, because there's no white community either, where there are large numbers of black people living in lots of areas of, South London and many other countries, many other cities in the country. You know what people most want? To know that the police are going to be there to tackle the gangs.